Welcome to MaxxEcu Training Part 23. This video we're going to be taking a look at working with spark timing and our main spark timing table with our MaxxEcus. We're going to be breaking down what spark timing represents within the auto cycle, taking a look at some graphical illustrations to make very clear sense of this. And then we're going to move into our spark timing table so we can take a look at what that represents and how we're going to be programming and working with those values and correlating it to the auto cycle where we're actually firing off our spark plug. So it's going to be breaking down the fundamentals here. We're also going to be taking a look at how we can work with programming our main spark timing table, doing axis rescaling, and then setting up two different examples for spark timing, one for naturally aspirated and one for force induction. So you have a good, safe base spark timing table that you can begin your calibration process with without damaging the engine. There's a lot of things to cover here. Let's jump into our video so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our main spark timing table within our MaxxEcus. Our spark timing is something that we need to make sure has been optimized and calibrated properly for the engine we're working with. Too much spark timing, we can lead to knock and pre-ignition and damage our engine. Too little spark timing will be leaving horsepower and torque on the table, and it can cause sluggish driving and just general lackluster performance from our engine. We want to make sure that our spark timing, again, is dialed in properly. There is going to be a sweet spot for our spark timing for every engine setup you might be working with. We're going to be breaking down spark timing fundamentally, understand what it represents here in this video so you have confidence in calibrating and working with tuning it. Now, the first thing I want to do is jump over here into our navigation pane, and we're going to go all the way down to the bottom under tuning, and then we'll find here we have our ignition angle table. The ignition angle table represents our main spark timing table. We can find this is a three-dimensional table. It's based on both map pressure for the load scale on our axes, also based on engine speed down here at the bottom. Now, the values within the table, these are confusing for a lot of novice tuners when you're getting started. Let's break down what these values actually represent. Now, in order to describe these properly and to understand what they physically mean, I have a nice video coming up on screen right now that'll break down the auto cycle and then break down where we're going to be firing off our spark plug and understanding what these values actually represent. So let's take a look at that first here, and then we can come back into the table and discuss our actual values. It'll be a lot clearer what we're dealing with and what we're trying to accomplish. So looking at our video here, we're going to find, again, this is representative of our auto cycle. So what we're finding here is that our air and fuel mixture are entering our intake valve. Now the piston is going to be traveling downwards on our intake stroke. That's going to be drawing in that fuel and air mixture. Now once it reaches bottom dead center, the piston is going to be changing direction and coming up towards top dead center. At that point, the intake valve will be closed. The fuel and air mixture in the cylinder is going to be compressed as that piston travels upwards. Now, within this compression stroke, this is where we're going to be telling the max to fire off our spark plug when we want to actually have that combustion process started. In this particular example, if we're watching it, once the piston reaches the top dead center mark or near the top dead center mark, we're going to find that the spark plug actually fires off and it creates that flame front or that combustion pressure that's going to be built into our engine. Now we're going to find that the piston moves and it starts to travel downwards on what's known as the power stroke. Now on the power stroke, we're going to find that flame front and that the combustion pressure is going to be pushing the pistons downwards towards bottom dead center on that particular cylinder. And we're going to find that at a certain point it'll dissipate and the piston actually will reach the bottom dead center. It'll change directions. It'll start to go onto the exhaust stroke. So it can actually have the exhaust valve open. The piston will move upwards and push all of that burnt exhaust gas out of the engine and start the cycle over again. And we'll repeat that process on and on. Now, focusing in on our spark timing, let's rewind and go back to our compression stroke. On the compression stroke, we'll find that we fired off that particular spark plug in this video example. That was right around the top dead center mark. When we're referencing our spark timing table here, we're going to find that that would be the equivalent of around 0 degrees. I'm programming the value here in our table. 0 degrees means that we're firing off the spark plug at that top dead center between our compression and our combustion or power stroke. So it's going to be right at that point. When we're dealing with the values within our table here, we're going to find that we generally want to fire off our spark plug before it reaches top dead center so that we have an adequate amount of cylinder pressure built and that when it reaches the power stroke, it's going to have the maximum pressure and force pushing down on that piston right around 15 to 20 degrees after top dead center. So after it reaches top dead center onto the power stroke, if we have our pressure, the peak pressure generated from our combustion process pushing down on the piston and rod, it'll have the optimized amount of mechanical advantage pushing downwards, which gives us the...
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.